Hello, we are Geeks Assembled, and today we are discussing a 1986 movie, which is now, well, seen by many as a cult classic. Some of this movie is very hard to watch for some scenes in this, but this is David Lynch, of course. We are talking Blue Velvet, Carl MacLachlan, Laura Dern, and the wonderful Dennis Hopper. So we'll go around this gathering here and the opening quote on this movie called Blue Velvet. We'll go to Connor first because he looks so interesting.
David Lynch I've not really explored before. I've seen Elephant Man. I've seen Elephant Man. And yeah, this was weird. Shot very kind of strangely, like weird details were focused. Like right at the beginning, where we're in the town and his dad has the near fatal stroke, and as he kind of falls to the ground, you go within the grass for no reason whatsoever. Although I will say the very first shot of the film is absolutely beautiful. Like I think the roses out there, the red roses on the
with the white picket fence.
Yeah, with the white picket fence, that is beautiful. It's a weird film. The four main cast, Isabella Rossellini, who is part of the famous Rossellini acting family, is fantastic in it. Dennis Hopper, who I believe was going through a bit of a career decline at this point. And much like Tarantino revived John Travolta's career, David Lynch did it a little bit here for Dennis Hopper. And he's fantastic in it. He's a psychopath. He's an absolute wanker. He's so good in villain roles, is Dennis Hopper. Much missed actor. I believe he's won an Oscar before, not for this, but Laura Dern, one of my favorite actresses, is fantastic as always. Really young in this. I don't know. I won't call her good looking, but she can act. So it just kind of it worked. Like I think she's really good as Sandy in this. And I believe, like you said earlier, I believe this is one of her first.
I think this was her second big movie role. I think the year before she did Mask with Cher, and then before that it was just small minor roles in other movies.
So yeah, Laura Dern is kind of fantastic as always, and even for such a young age and at the start of her career. Carl MacLachlan, who's kind of, as I understand, Lynch's sort of one of Lynch's go-to two guys, because obviously he's in Dune as well. Really good. I like how the story starts out with him finding an ear. So it's a bizarre kind of catalyst into the story, and how it progresses from there. I'll go into favourite scenes later. One I'll mention, which I'll mention again, is the kind of sex scene between Dennis Hopper and Frank Booth, I think his name's called, isn't it?
Yeah, Frank, yeah.
And Dorothy, which is just kind of strange. Dennis Hopper looks like a mix between he doesn't want to do it and he might actually be kind of enjoying it. He's got some weird facial expressions going on in that scene. That's what kind of made it. I don't think he quite knew how to act out a sex scene like that. And for such a talented actor, that's a strange situation to be in. The end as well, when kind of the shootout and stuff like that, is brilliant as well. Yeah, it's a really good movie. It definitely sets the tone for David Lynch's sort of career, I think. weird, as Susan said, cerebral sort of storytelling. Yeah, I can see why it's got a cult following, though I understand it's not regarded as. Is it regarded as one of the best films of all time? I don't think.
It comes up in these polls every now and again as, you know, it's up there, you know.
It's definitely very famous. Sorry,
I think it's definitely a heavy influence on Tarantino later, a few years down the road, as to what you could and could not get away with.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty much sums up Lynch, doesn't it? He kind of likes to go close to the knuckle on a few things. Yeah, great movie. I'd definitely watch it again.
Cool. Thanks for that, Connor. Who shall we go to? Let's go to the lady of the group, and that's not Jake. It's Susan.
All right. Well, first time I saw this was right after it came out. I mean, I really I had to watch it. My friend Carl Krass was like, "You have got to see this movie. Oh my gosh, it's amazing!" And so I did, and it really, it's a bit of a twist. Basically, Blue Velvet is like innocence moving to depravity, and then back to innocence, and a little slice of Americana, and it's like ASMR leading directly into BDSM, to use some catchy little initials of.
I know what them initials mean.
Yeah, it's a really, really good movie. Isabel Rossellini creams it. She's just so good. She literally steals all the power from every single human being in any of the rooms that she's in, even standing there stark naked and abused. She has an insane amount of power, and Frank Booth needs so much power to assert himself over all these situations. It's amazing. The only way that he can. And then there was Dean Stockwell's character, the guy who's smooth.
Oh yeah, Ben the drug dealer.
Yeah, Ben. Fantastic action. You know, it's all power play. It's all just like intimate power play. And the fact that the man in yellow was Detective Gordon, and his name is like the Chief Gordon from Batman. I mean, like, you just got to. It's like it's playing on you. This movie plays you like a fiddle. It's so intense and so great. And yeah, watching it again brought so many good memories back. It is really an incredible movie. And the other thing that I want you to focus in on with Blue Velvet is the fantastic soundtrack. I mean, the songs depict, they evoke so many great things in the story. And so, yeah, I'm glad we're reviewing it. Over to you, Lee.
Thanks, Susan. We'll go to Tim. We'll leave Jake to last, see what he has to say at last. Over to Tim.
Well, yeah, like you said, it's a cult classic. And I think one of the reasons is, I mean, to give you a little bit of history here, this came out on video back in the early heyday of VHS rentals. You know, by this time, the stores were offering like 3 movies, 2 days or something like that. And so this movie benefited from that, because I remember I first saw it that way. I rented it because you go and you rent anything. You'd be like, oh, you know, streaming was a long way off at that point. So I rented it and I was like, God, what a fucked up movie. And it is, but I didn't know at the time. I'd seen a couple of David Lynch movies. I'd seen Dune and I'd seen Elephant Man, but I didn't put it all together in my head. This was actually his fourth feature film, and he was working on it while he was working on Dune, which is why he picked up a couple of the cast from there. I think he was very upset that the De Laurentiis group took Dune away from him and cut it themselves, and they made it up to him by saying, "Well, it's okay. We'll pay for your next film if you keep it under 2 hours," which he did. So this is an excellent film. It's all about obsession, really. And Connor, you mentioned that scene at the beginning. It's all like a metaphor, really. It's about the prettiness of the world and then the ugliness underneath, and that's what that represents, pretty obviously. And that's what the thing is. This young innocent kid gets way in over his head investigating something he should leave alone, which is kind of dirty underground of criminals and all they do. And Frank Booth is like the monster. I mean, he's like a monster man, really. He's so horrible. He's so obsessed with everything. And what he does to this poor woman, I mean, he kidnaps her husband and kid, cuts the husband's ear off, and tosses it away somewhere. And it's an amazing story. At the time, you'd never really seen anything like this before. Like Connor mentioned, he does kind of go to the edge with it, and that's why I said, like, it probably influenced Tarantino to a certain degree, because, as you know, his movies would later have severed ears and stuff like that. But
true,
no,
yeah.
But I like this film a lot. I think it really did put Lynch on the map, and a lot of it prefigures a lot of the stuff he would do in Twin Peaks a few years down the road, like the finding of something and the subsequent investigation. And I think you made some good points too about that the cast is very good in this, even though some of the dialogue's a bit hokey in some scenes, but still they pull it off. They're all really good in their early careers here. Kyle MacLachlan and Laura Dern, both of whom would work with Lynch again several occasions. But yeah, that's my open. I think it's a pretty fascinating movie, and it's very much of its time. And I think it kind of changed the way a lot of movies are made. I don't think it did that well in the theater, but I think it really did well in the rentals. So back to you.
Cool. Yeah, I like the word fascinating, and that does sum this movie up. Fascinating movie. Right, here we go. Jake, over to you. Here we go.
Right. I've never even heard of this film before in my life. And usually before I go into a film I haven't heard of before, I usually go into Wikipedia and read the first paragraph. That gives you a basic summary of what it is, like thriller or whatever. I decided not to do that this time. So I went into it open-minded and all that. These sort of films that are sort of mystery stuff is not up my alley. It's not my cup of tea at all. Very rarely is it my cup of tea. Like a BBC show, The Missing, I quite enjoyed. But stuff is, I don't. That rape scene at the beginning made me really fucking uncomfortable to the point where I lost my whole enjoyment with the rest of the film. Like I get that films are some people's cup of tea, but from the history I've had, I find rape and the subject of rape very uncomfortable to watch for personal reasons. So it made me a bit, I want to turn it off now. But I stuck through it. I had to watch it until installed because I thought, God, did it drag for the first hour. Christ almighty, it was worse than bloody that Rainbow Serpent film we watched last time. But that's being said, like I did enjoy the last 20 odd minutes of it when the action really started and it was getting into the end, because God, Dennis Hooper's character Frank was a cunt. I'd have shot him in the head myself. That was really well played. I did love Laura Dern and Dennis Cooper in this film. I just didn't really enjoy the subject matters this film talked about because of how it made me feel, if that makes sense. And I'm usually hard as stone with stuff like that. But when it's like involving rape and nasty stuff like that, I'm like, I can't, especially how in-depth it got in that scene, how violent it was. It wasn't very pleasant to watch. But Laura Dern, even the lady, I can't remember the actress' name, but who played the Blue Velvet lady, I thought she was really good. She played it well, the role she was meant to be playing, like panicked and all that. I like that. But
To be fair, could I just interject that it's not really a rape because she participated willingly, even though she was under threat. Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's debatable.
Mhm.
Yeah. But yeah, it was my cup of tea. No shade to people who love it and think it's a cult classic. I just don't think it is, because it isn't a film that I'd recommend to someone. I've seen much better films that tackle this sort of like topic a lot better than this film did. So yeah, over to you, Lee.
Thanking you, Jake. And to be honest, you keep going about rape. There really was no rape. It was abuse, violence, but there was no rape, really. He was a terrible piece of work, admittedly. It was not grotesquely done. There was no. Well, there was nudity, but in that scene with Dennis Hopper, there was no nudity. There was nothing like that. There was no rape. There was plenty of him breathing in his gas and getting overexcited on top of Isabella Rossellini, but there was no rape because his trousers were still on and zipped up. Which, but as Tim said, she was sort of willingly participant under threat.
To be fair, she was pressed into it because he did have her husband and kids. So I mean,
yeah. He was pressurizing her into participating and doing what he wanted her to do.
Okay, but wasn't she really in control over all the situations?
Not necessarily.
Well,
in so many ways, she totally was.
Well, she was a bit of a, like you pointed out, she was a bit of a freak. I mean, she liked the S&M kind of thing.
Yeah, she will. Hit me.
It's not freak. It's a kink, and she was.
Well, same thing.
She was absolutely 100% in charge of that situation.
She got turned on by that.
Not with Frank, though.
No, because she was threatened by that because of the situation between a child and her husband. But going back to my opening thoughts, I love this movie. Like Tim, I used to rent this out. I rented it out maybe 2 or 3 times back in the day because I just thought it was such. For me, it's the way Lynch uses imagery, and Susan's mentioned music. The way he uses music in imagery in his movies is just amazing. Lynch is just well known for that nowadays, which he used later on in Twin Peaks. Imagery, music. But this was sort of the start, down that road. The acting, the actors in this did their part. Isabella Rossellini was just amazing, in this part. Cal MacLachlan was just, Cal MacLachlan. That's all. He plays that. He plays himself, really. But for me, Dennis Hopper, what a powerhouse of a performance in this as Frank. Just when I first saw him as Frank, when he first appears, and you don't know what he's going to do, and then all of a sudden he brings out the mask, starts breathing in the gas, and then whole hell breaks loose. That is just an awesome scene. Just one of the best movie villains, underrated movie villains, I would say. But I enjoy this. It's either you either like it or you don't. It's a Marmite movie. This, as Jake has proven. But I enjoyed this. We'll go around favourite moments or things what you would like to share. We'll go reverse order. Jake.
I would agree with what you just touched upon. The music and the imagery really helps set the mood and how you feel. Especially, I think there are some scenes where there's static sort of music in the background, and
that's what David Lynch is known for. He really
I think that really helps scenes where he's like hiding in the cupboards and everything. Our favourite scene in his whole film is when he's hiding in the cupboards and Frank's trying to find him, if that makes sense. I really liked that. I thought I was like, oh, is he going to get found? No, I honestly thought he was going to get shot and killed. Not Frank, but the other bloke, and that's how the film ended. But no, it was just, I just can't honestly say I sat down and enjoy it, because I didn't. And also something I didn't really like was when they found him dead, like the husband dead, because I'm like, I hadn't really built an emotional attachment to this character to care that he's laying there dead. All we've heard about him is that one photo and her saying, "Oh, my husband's blah blah blah. He's locked up, being held captive." So we just seen glimpses of that, like actually what's happening to him throughout the film. I felt, for me personally, it would have created a more emotive like hit, and I wish the singing lady would have found him instead of the other bloke, because I found that even more emotive, and it dragged like whole what they call it, I can't think of the word, when you really want to hope something's okay but it's not, and then a world comes crashing down, and so I break even more. I'd like that to have happened, but that being said, I do think it was a really good ending to a film. It wasn't disappointing. It was a really enjoyable ending. The evil bastards got what he deserved. They lived happily ever after with a shit animatronic bird in the windowsill. But yeah, it was good. The ending was good. I enjoyed the ending. So yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about the animatronic bird. Yeah, the Robin. Let's go to Tim.
Well, if I can follow on what you were saying about the way Lynch does these things and the way directs, and one of the reasons he's probably more of a cult. He's got kind of a cult following. He's not really a major name he's a name in the industry, but I mean, he doesn't have a huge following. It's because of the way he directs. It is all about feelings in a lot of ways. He wants to make you feel uncomfortable, which is why a lot of people would find those scenes disturbing. And you're right, he does a lot with sound, music, and camera trickery and stuff. And it really does. It often, sometimes the script, in fact, won't make a lot of sense, but it's all about how you feel. Like, think about those scenes in Dune that are just supposed to make you go, ooh, like the bug thing and the, scenes with the face, the guy's face, what's his name, Harkonnen. My point is that it's all about making you feel a certain way, is the way he directs films a lot of times, and quite often, especially in his later ones, his more recent ones, it's sometimes they don't really add up at first, and you watch them again, you go, oh, I see. You see the connections that are there, but that you're so busy being grossed out by something or liking something about a scene that's beautiful or something, then you might not see all the connections in a film. But yeah, this is one of my favorite scenes is when Jeffrey discovers those bodies in the apartment. And it's so bizarre because the one guy's dead, but the other guy's not really dead yet. He's just kind of standing there, stuck in place. And it's very odd. I mean, and later he gets shot by Frank's gun and just falls over. But I mean, he's standing there, and like his walkie goes off, and he's just like, I mean, what's keeping him up? It's so bizarre. I mean, it's just like, what the hell? But that's one of my favorite scenes. There's other stuff in the movie. I just like the whole way. This has been going on for a while in the film, and yet Jeffrey just kind of discovers it by accident, and involves this young girl he meets in this whole investigation on the side kind of thing. And they really don't let you know if her father's in on it or not till the end. You kind of realize he didn't know his friend at the force was corrupt like that and hanging around with gangsters. But yeah, it's all really odd and very different for its time. I mean, it came out and it kind of, have you seen that? I mean, wow, it's a bizarre film, and it's one of a kind in a lot of ways, and you can see where it kind of changed things as far as the way movies were made, I think, at that point. But
yeah,
all right, I'm done.
Okay, thanks for that, Tim. Susan, over to you.
All right. Well, let's see. My favorite moments are I love the when he first is breaking in, and that scene is so tense. And then I love how when what is her name again? when Dorothy Valens is shows up to um, the police officer's house and um, and ends up because she follows the car and then she sees um boy it's Sandy sees Jeffrey and Dorothy embrace, and Dorothy says, "You're my secret love. You have my disease inside of you." That line and that whole thought was just amazing.
No, she says he put his disease inside of me.
That's right. Oh yeah, but isn't that what I said? Whatever. If Tim's right, that's great. Then yeah. So yeah, you put your disease inside of me. And that was brilliant. And then the way Sandy just saw that and realized that this was not, that his affections were not only for her, that he had, that he was playing and stuff. And, Dorothy had all the power in that whole scene. That was amazing. And then the way she had the power in the scene, the only time that she really lost power was when they were out at the car and the one girl was dancing on there and they were kicking the hell out of Jeffrey. The It was like then Dorothy really lost all power. Like literally nobody was going to move, no matter how loud she screamed or whatever. I just thought that she was such a powerful character, and also I really loved the sweetness and innocence of Sandy and her family, and then like the wretchedness of you know the drug dealer, Ben the drug dealer's household. Like the difference was like night and day, and literally, it was that one was sort of, as rich or was whatever as you can, and then the other one was as stark and but beautiful in a different way. So yeah, I love the contrast and God, it's just such an amazing movie. Anyway, back over to you.
Thank you, Susan. We'll go over to yeah, Connor. How could we forget Connor?
As I mentioned, I liked the kind of sex scene between Rossellini and Hopper. I think that the thing that I kind of took away from this, and it was really Lynch, it was Lynch's mark on the film, was how it was shot, but also when the club scenes were happening, it looked really glossy. And I think when colors and stuff like that pop out, especially when she's on the stage with the dress and everything like that, it's just that's fantastic. That itself drags you into a movie. And so I think for just the artistry sort of side of things, it was very well done. The cinematography, as I even mentioned at the beginning, with the roses against the white picket fence, just incredibly well shot. And there's something almost, for a mystery film, there's something romantic about the way that it plays out and that it's shot. It's not like a gritty, even though it's got gritty aspects to it. It's not a gritty sort of mystery gangster film. It's kind of it's very romanticized and aesthetically, even even the font that they use, as Susan's showing there for Blue Velvet, it's just kind of classy. And I think that for a style that David Lynch kind of encapsulates, it's stunning. That's what I took away from it the most. As I mentioned, the end where Dennis Hopper's character dies as well is pretty intense. And yeah, when Kyle MacLachlan's character has to act as an exterminator to get inside Dorothy's flat, that's a very, very good scene. I do think to a certain degree, while Dennis Hopper is fantastic in this, for me, Laura Dern kind of steals it, I think. Because I always found when she was on screen, maybe it's because it's Laura Dern, because I know it's Laura Dern, but I always found myself kind of focusing on her the most. I don't find Kyle MacLachlan the most kind of imposing actor. I don't think he kind of chews the scenery as much as someone like Dern or Hopper can do. But yeah, overall, it's just fantastic.
You should see her in Wild at Heart.
Yeah. I think one thing that kind of caught me off guard was, and I don't know whether it was the writing, the acting, or even the way it was written, but when I just found there was a strange atmosphere when Kyle's character took the ear to Detective Williams right at the beginning. It's like, is that a Lynchian sort of thing where it's kind of like the way that he kind of handled it wasn't like normal police?
Yeah, Lynch is exactly like that.
It was very kind of whimsical. Like a police officer, if given an ear like that, would be pretty serious about it. But he was kind of a bit flighty. And it kind of, there's something humorous about it, I think, is the right way of putting it. But yeah, overall, a great movie. And I think I'll have to really delve more into David Lynch to kind of maybe understand the movie and, as Tim said, the metaphors within it a bit more, and how he kind of presents these little metaphors. Because it does very much, now that Tim's kind of alluded to it, it does very much sum up the movie, does the opening scene, with it kind of being this normal life, this college student that comes home to take care of his dad. Is kind of thrust into this investigation and kind of becomes a bit obsessed with finding out information about what's going on and how that leads him kind of down the path it does. Yeah, it's very it's an interesting way of telling a story, and it really kind of attracts me to David Lynch's style in many ways. So yeah, that's my favourite moments.
Brilliant, Connor. I recommend you watching Twin Peaks from beginning to end. Then, Connor.
I'll do that then.
Yeah, all 3 seasons, because that's how you get the real feel of David Lynch. What can I say? A lot have been said about this moments. I'll try and pick some different ones. Susan mentioned the woman dancing on the car scene. I enjoyed that scene, but more particularly with Hopper confronting Kyle MacLachlan's character, beating him up. But that where he's got the piece of velvet, he's got putting lipstick on his face and just reciting In Dreams the song to him. That is just so surreal. That is so well done. I mean, going back to In Dreams as well with Ben, the character Ben, played by Dean Stockwell, a small cameo by him, but him lip syncing to Roy Orbison in Dreams, that is just amazing. And then you can see Frank.
And he's got makeup on. No, I mean, he's like
so pale face, and then there's Frank stood next to him, and he's sort of singing along with him, and then his head's starting to go. Just them scenes are so brilliant. And it's good to see it as well. 2 actors in Frank's gang, Jack Nance, who Lynch always used. He used him in Eraserhead, Twin Peaks, And then you've got Brad Dourif, who is a well-known name in movies, you know, from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest to Chucky, voice of Chucky, to Alien Resurrection 2, Game of Thrones, stuff like that.
He was also in Dune.
Dune, yeah. What do you call it? The Hobbit or whatever it is, Lord of the Rings or whatever you want to call it. Them sort of movies. Yeah, to see them, I mean, those small parts, but Brad Dourif and Jack Nance was there in this gang. But for me, it was all. I agree with what Connor says about Laura Dern. When she's on there, the scene does light up more. Yeah, she brings like a bit of ray of such. She was the all-American girl.
She's the good character. I mean, out of the whole movie, you see people that are a bit dubious.
Yeah, she's just sunshine all the way. She's the light in all this darkness.
But wouldn't you say that she brought the mystery? Like literally, he would have had just an ear and like a question if she wouldn't have gone, well, it has to do with this investigation that my father's been doing. She sort of ignited his. Yeah, she sort of ignited his. Yeah, you see what I mean there. She's like Persephone.
If I could point out something also, there's some deleted scenes. I mean, on the Blu-ray that actually, I'm kind of relieved that they cut them in a way, because the Kyle MacLachlan character, Jeffrey character, is actually a bit more dubious in that he's a bit of a voyeur. There's a scene with him at his college, and he's at a party or something. He stumbles into a basement, and there's a couple in there making out. And he just stands and watches instead of like, oh, excuse me. He just kind of stands there behind the thing and watches it go on. And that's why. I mean, if they left that in, you would see why he acts the way he does when he's in the closet and he sees what happens. But I mean, in other words, his character comes across a bit less likable if you include the deleted scenes, and it makes the Dern character even more of the bright, shining, good person in the film. Because you're right, she is, you know, it's her dream of Robbins that is supposed to be a metaphor for the whole goodness versus the evil that lurks in the underbelly of the town or whatever.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there's was it in total? There's 52 minutes of stuff taken out of the movie, available on the special DVD and on the Blu-ray. But 52 minutes is a lot to cut out of a movie.
I want it back. Oh my gosh!
You'll have to buy the DVD, Susan.
Oh, but I love my VHS. This is the original, like, one that I bought from the rental store.
Oh, you didn't nick it? I thought you'd stole it.
Oh.
It's been destroyed by Pan and Scan, Sue. Come on, get with the widescreen program.
Yeah. So any more?
And those big open scenes, I bet the camera's going like this.
Yeah.
Like with two people talking to each other across the room.
Very funny. Yeah. Very funny.
Anybody wants to say anything else about?
I can say one other thing too that Lynch does very well is you can't really tell what period this is. It doesn't look 80s at all. I mean, the way they're dressed, the way they're.
I was trying to figure out when it was supposed to be set. You know, when I was watching.
The music that goes with it is very of a earlier time. So I mean,
it looks to me like an amalgamation between the 50s and the 70s.
Well,
but then the cars are all like late 80s.
Are they?
No,
yeah.
the music's from the 60s because you've got Blue Velvet by Bobby Vinton and In Dreams by Roy Orbison, which was the 60s. And to me, the way they were dressing, I would have said 60s.
I would have said, like, when I first saw, when Laura Dern's character is first introduced, right when, you know, she kind of emerges out of the darkness and she's in that pink dress, I would have said 50s. But yeah, it's not stated what time period it is.
Yeah, it gets you thinking when it's supposed to be.
But, he did that. He did that with Twin Peaks as well. The girls are all wearing those sweaters, and it looks very not early 90s or whatever. So
yeah.
Well, the cars are of the age that it was shot in.
Yeah,
they're just normal, you know, land yachts, basically. what we used to call land yachts. These great big sedans or great big 4-doors.
I don't know.
It was some kind of convertible, right?
Yeah, it was just the fashion they were wearing was not 80s.
Oh, you're right.
So I was plumping for 60s, early 60s, coming out of the 50s into the 60s. But hey ho. Anything else before we move on to final say and score?
Oh yeah, and the mask was an 80s drug thing. That wasn't from the 60s.
Yeah, well, we don't know. We don't know what they got up to back then, do we?
Well, you do, because if you watch the Grateful Dead movie, you see a different thing.
Yeah, but this isn't the Grateful Dead movie. This is Blue Velvet.
I understand, but that's how you know about the other drugs.
I don't remember anybody in the Grateful Dead movie having a mask. I might have missed it.
It was in the. Anyway, go on.
I don't know. I'm asking.
It's been debated a lot. You know, what was Frank breathing in through the mask? Originally, David Lynch said it was helium.
That was funny.
Dennis Hopper went,
"Baby wants the fact."
Yeah, Dennis Hopper went, no. He says, "I know what I'm breathing in," and somewhere in his autobiography or whatever, Dennis Hopper stated he had in his head it was animal nitrate. So,
amyl nitrate.
Animal nitrate, yeah, which I would go for instead of helium, wouldn't you? So that would answer a lot of things about Frank's character, I would suppose. So if nobody's got anything else to say about Blue Velvet, final say and score. Here we come. Jake, since we get quiet, over to you.
Not really my cup of tea, so I'm gonna give it a 5/7 ears out of 10.
5/7 ears out. Okay, Susan.
That's a little low. I'll give it because it's one of my long time loves. I'll give it a 10. No question. And I do love David Lynch. I do think that the Dune was brilliant. The Twin Peaks was brilliant. And I do think that that Blue Velvet is so brilliant.
Thank you, Susan. Colin.
Gets a 7.5 out of 10 from me.
Right, and over to Tim.
It's not my favorite Lynch film. Actually, I don't have a favorite Lynch film because they're all good in their own different ways. But I do think it did send him off in a new direction. It was only the second time he actually made a film that wasn't based on somebody else's writing or story. I would give it a 9.5, though. I think it's a very good film, and I think it holds up pretty well after 36 years or so.
Yes.
I agree. To me personally, it is one of my favourites. It brings back great memories, and rewatching it again today, the memories came flooded back of watching it on my old VHS, renting the movie and trying to figure out what was going on. And every time you rewatched it, you still think, what is going on? And then you realise Lynch is just a genius.
Yeah, he is.
Why do we need to know what's going on when David Lynch is directing?
Some of his later ones are pretty head fuckery, but
oh yes, I know.
About another time.
So I'm gonna give it 10 out of 10, of course, because I love it. Just imagery and soundtrack, just amazing. So that is our little review of Blue Velvet by David Lynch. I'd like to thank Tim, Connor, Susan, and Jake for joining me discussing the movie. You guys out there, if you want to get involved, please leave us a message. We're on Facebook, Twitter, we're on YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and also press the bell notification. And every time we put something up, you'll get a little ding. And we're there for you to enjoy what we've ever put up. And please leave a comment. Let us know what you thought of this review, what you thought of Blue Velvet, what you think of Jake, because a lot of people have got opinions on it. He's not swearing at me, is he? Until next time, Stay safe, be positive, and remember, it's a strange world out there. Bye for now.